Have you ever got a package that makes your hands kind of just like shake a little? Well, that's me right now because inside of this box are two Verve Mastercut editions. We got Getz and Gilberto and Ella and Louie. And guys, if you're not familiar, these aren't ordinary reissues. So hold on here. These are direct to lacquer cuts. They're made straight from the original master tapes, all analog, produced in extremely limited numbers. There's no digital step. There's no duplication chain, by the way. Every copy is hand cut to a lacquer disc, and once you play it, it starts to wear down. But I kind of think that's what makes them so special. Hey guys, welcome back to Vinyl Latte. I'm so grateful you're here with me today because today we are unboxing something truly extraordinary, and that's the Verve Mastercut edition. This is a wonderful series. It's the Verve Records sort of high-end audiophile program, and it was created in partnership with Emil Berliner Studios in Berlin. And each title here, guys, is directly cut to lacquer from the original analog masters by engineer. I hope I say this right. It's Raynard Maillard. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But it's using this all analog chain, and these aren't pressed to vinyl, guys. So no vinyl here. They are the actual lacquer discs. And each one is hand assembled, numbered, and limited to just a few hundred copies worldwide. That's it. That's all you get. And Verve designed this series basically to give collectors the closest possible experience to hearing the original master tape, pure, uncompressed, and unfiltered. And today, I've had this box sitting here for, I don't know, a month or more. And today we're finally going to get a chance to unbox it. So here we go, guys. Let's do it. Okay. I kind of fast forward through that part because you didn't actually need to see me cutting the box open and all the tape. But I am now just given a chance to open up the box here, and um we got some packaging, right? So we got two records and some packaging and some paper. So that's all we really have. Let me get this one out of the way so I can show you what I see. And here we are. So essentially, this is what we got. We got two records that are in these white sleeves. Now, looks can be deceiving at first because they just look like the regular paper wrap. Let me move like this so we can see each other. But here's what's kind of interesting. On the side, we have some information. So this says number 22 out of 500. It's checked. And this one it says Archival Tape Edition, number 007 US. This is the Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. And there's some stamp here that I really can't make out. So what I need to do is try to preserve this wrapper as much as I can. I'm going to assume that the other record is pretty much the same. This is number 48 out of 500, checked. Still can't make out the stamp, but it is the, again, Archival Tape Edition, number 004. So that must be the series. This was the fourth one. The other one was the seventh one. And this is a Getz and Gilberto. So that's what we got here. Let me go ahead and maybe we just start off with the Getz and Gilberto. What do you guys think? And kind of open it up and unbox it here. I think that's probably a good idea. Better one than I've had all day. What's interesting to me, though, guys, just since we're checking this out. Oh, hit my keyboard. Sorry about that. What's interesting about this is here, there's just a little sticker. And that's fine. Let me put this so I don't break. But here there's like this weird packaging table on it. You see that? Kind of weird to me. For being a premium series, that's, I don't know. That bothers me because I want to preserve the wrapper, right? And now I got this construction tape going on here. Let me pull out my scissors here and see what I can make happen, guys. I'll be right back. So while I get that unpacked, let's talk a little bit about Getz and Gilberto, because I know some people are just getting into vinyl that's found this channel, or maybe you're not a jazz enthusiast and you're not just simply familiar with this album, but I would almost bet that you've at least heard one of the songs on here. So let's dive into this real quick. It was released in 1964, and guys, this album didn't just make jazz history, it changed it. It introduced Brazilian bossa nova to the world. João Gilberto's soft guitar and vocals, layered with Astrid Gilberto's unforgivable debut of The Girl from Ipanema. And then, of course, you have Stan Getz's warm lyrical saxophone tone, which just created this sound that was both sophisticated and relaxed. And it went on to win the 1965 Grammy Award for Album of the Year. It's the first jazz album ever to win that honor. Now let's go back to the record, shall we? Okay, guys, a quick progress upgrade. So I very carefully, and this is really sad to me. I'm already a little bit upset, but I very carefully tried to peel, which didn't really work. And then so what I defaulted to was using a pair of scissors and just trying to cut where the pieces kind of came together. So it's not the most elegant job. I'm hoping on the Ella and Louis record, it comes out a lot better. But here we are. Now, what's interesting is once you peel these flaps out, there seems to be even more tape here. But what I'm going to do is put this down for a moment and see if I can just slide out this box because I want to preserve this paper as much as I can. I think having the original packaging later in time will help increase the value. Okay, guys, we got some success here. We finally got the wrap off. Now, how I'm going to store this and preserve it, I have no idea right at the moment in time. I'll figure that out later. But one of the things that I did discover here while I was unboxing is that they give you this nifty pair of white gloves. So inside of the packaging is this little thing here, and inside of that you have these white gloves to handle, I guess, the record. So being that that's what they gave me, I'm going to go ahead and put those on, and we're going to do this the way that they intended it to be done. So as I'm slipping these on for the fun of it, and I know why they're doing this, is just because lacquers are so fragile. What is interesting is that there is a stamp here, barely legible, might I add, but it says, "Please read instructions before playing this record." Now, this one doesn't have that, but this one does. So I find that it's kind of interesting. Um, and if you're wondering what the case looks like, this is what we got. So this is it's very soft. It's not very heavy, and it feels a little bit fragile, to be honest with you, right from the get-go. It says Archival Tape Edition number 004. And on this side, you have information. So on the spine, it gets in Gilberto, US edition, 48 out of 500, Archival Tape Edition. And it says number 004. And then on this side, we have the Getz and Gilberto. And it says cut on Japanese lacquer disc with pride at Super Sense in Vienna. So that's what that says. And we're going to slide this out. Here we go. Let's do this so you can see it and I can see it. You ready? Sorry. I don't want anything to fall, guys, because I don't know how this packaging is put together. So bear with me here. It's first time opening one of these. Let's see if I can get it started, and then I'll show you. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. Get it a little bit started. So here it is. Sliding it out. Boom. So we'll put that there, and we'll focus on this. So on my side that I see is really the back side, okay? There's nothing here. It just has a little information down at the bottom, which says that it's manufactured at Supersense Vienna. I could read this a lot better than the other one. It has the concept, the design, the letterpress, and the silk screen, all of the credits there. And then here it has kind of your information. So this says the name of the album, and then it has all the musicians that played, and then the side A tracks, the side B tracks, and then it says recorded direct to tape. The date of the recording was March 18th and 19th of 1963. The location was A&R Studios in New York. Tape number, recording engineer, director of engineering, producer. And then it has information about this, which was cut from tape to disc, the date that it was cut, which was August 6th, 2022. The location, it's a stereo copy. The media, which is a 12-inch lacquer disc, and it has the cutting engineers, and it's a choice. And this is Martin Diamond. I think I'm saying that right. And just because I'm not familiar with this package, guys, I'm going to be a little bit cautious here on how I open this because I don't want the disc to fall because that would not be a good situation. Which is also kind of interesting how they have this package. So let me do this. Let me see how I can show this to you. So here, this opens up. It's very nice presentation, right? This opens up, and then see if I can show you here. And then this opens up. Bear with me. And then inside of all of this is your disc. Look at that. And it's kind of screwed down, locked in, if you will, to this another piece that slides out. So let me go ahead and slide that out because that's the lacquer disc. That's the fragile part. We don't want to break that. That's what we paid the money for. So that's it. So that's your experience, right? So this opens up, then this opens up, and then you have that disc inside. Pretty cool. Okay. So weird doing this with gloves, by the way. Now, we have the actual disc, which seems to be on a piece of cardboard. So this is kind of looks like it's like a twisted, you twist it to undo it. So you twist this center thing to undo it, and then you twist it to lock it in place. So I guess it doesn't slide around. And then just in the back is the reverse side of it. And all this is really is just really thick cardboard. So I'm going to put this over here for just right now. Make sure it doesn't fall. And we'll get into this. This is the packaging, the extra stuff. So this again has information. It says archival tape edition, number, Getz Gilberto. Kind of the same stuff over and over, which makes sense. What else are they gonna put? It's so weird doing this with the gloves. I don't think I really need the gloves, guys. I think the gloves are actually causing me more problems than it's not. So I'm gonna go ahead and take them off for now. I thought it'd be fun and cool and whatever, but it's not. Okay. So let me see if I can get this slid off here in a way that I can slide it back on when I'm done. So I can show you what this booklet looks like. Okay, now I got that off. Maybe this is why you really need the gloves. I have no idea. But here you go. You have this, which are these copies of stuff that are in protective film so it doesn't get damaged. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do this in a way that I'm comfortable holding it. But I can see pictures and what have you, right? And they're behind these protective films. This looks like a letter, a note, and then some additional stuff here going through. And then some of the Mastercut record, how to, I guess, care for the record. So it's like all this information in here. Which is really just strange. The whole packaging to me is just, I've never seen anything like this before. Okay, yeah. So I'm not going to pull out every little detail in here. I think you kind of get the gist that it has a lot of cool memorabilia in it. It's got some notes and printouts. They're all Xerox copies, so I don't know why I'm acting like this is so crazy. And then it has kind of the instructions, right? So to give you um, what you should and shouldn't do, and why they package it this way is beyond me. Even this feels fragile. Like, even the instructions. Like, this piece of paper feels like I'm pulling something out of an archive. Like, it's super crazy to me. This basically says they're all handmade. They're one-off recordings. Only used in premium analog gear. Lacquer disc of the highest standards. Carefully cut in real time. Blah 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 blah. Every record is a durable, sensitive object. It says, make sure you hold it by the outer edges, use a steady hand, play dry, wait for the record platter to stop, using carbon fiber or brush for cleaning, say no to all cleaners. Um, records love their sleeves, always store upright, and records are like people. So that's really what they're giving you. All of that, guys, all of this archival sense, and all they're giving you is just general care guides that, really any record should have. But it's a cool experience. I'll give it to Verve. Verve, if you're watching this, this has been the most interesting record opening unboxing I've ever done. I've seen some wild stuff in my life, but this I can't I can't with these gloves. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, maybe for the record, but I can't with this. It's causing too many problems. And it's just the instructions, for crying out loud. All right, gang, we got it back together in one piece, and I don't think I damaged anything, so that's a good thing. So let's get to the record, because I know that's probably really what you guys care about the most. So this thing spins off. So that's it. So that's like a little screw and it spins off. Kind of think of it almost like a clamp, a record clamp. Really cool. I mean, the cool thing about that is that you don't have to worry about split seams at all. You know. So I'm assuming, I hope I don't screw this up, but I'm assuming this record should just come right off now. It should be pretty simple. Now, because they give you gloves, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to wear the gloves. And there you go. That's the metal thing there. That's what the inner side looks like. So your record sits on there and it has like a little rubber thing. So it's not pressing metal directly onto the record. Can you guys see that? I got to be conscious here of what you can see. And then here it is. So this feels heavy. This is a heavy. Lacquers are heavy. They're super shiny. Look at that. They're super shiny. I mean, this thing's like a mirror. It's beautiful. Can you see that? I have a side monitor, guys. You keep seeing me look off to the side so I can see what you see on the side monitor. I'm try to use the light from my. Look at that. You see how shiny that is? It's so beautiful. And inside it just says A, 33 RPM, and B, 33 RPM. That's it. Really simple label. Nothing to get excited about, if you will. So I probably botched that as botched could be. I'm sure somebody at home is yelling and saying, dude, you just touched all that crap with those gloves and then you just touched a record. What are you doing? Hey, we're here to experiment and have fun. You know, records should be fun. I see Fremer carrying around lacquers, and I don't think he puts this much time and effort into them. So, um, you know, it is what it is, guys. We all do what we got to do. But I'm going to see if I can get this on and off again. Let me see if I can get this thing screwed back in without damaging anything. I do want to preserve these as much as I can because, yes, they are expensive, but I also don't know what I'm going to do with these records in the long run. I know what I'm going to do with them in the short term, which I'll talk to you about here in just a second when, I get this put back together because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm very bad at multitasking. Um, but let me just dive into this a little bit for you. We talked a little bit about the lacquer itself, right? So some of you have never seen one before. And if you haven't seen one before, they are, like I said, they're smooth, they're mirror-like, they're a bit heavier than a normal record, right? And that's because they're made of aluminum core and it's coated in nitrocellulose lacquer, right? And it's the same material that engineers use to cut the very first grooves from a master tape. Now, why does all this matter? Why is this such an elegant process with gloves and everything else? I mean, why is this such a big deal? And it's because the lacquer, essentially, if you're not familiar with this, it's the first physical copy of a recording. It's the sound that's carved directly into the surface in real time. So there's no pressing it, there's no plating, and which means that there's no loss of audio. And it's as close as you can possibly get to what's on the master tapes. Now, there's lots of upsides to that, right? You're probably asking, well, what's the benefits of that? And you probably already know, right? You get sound that's incredibly pure and alive. You get a wonderful representation of the master disc, but there's downsides as well. And the downside is that this stuff is super fragile. Lacquers are fragile and they're soft and they tend to wear with each play. And once they're damaged, guys, that's it. There's no fixing them. So these are really meant for careful listening and preservation and just not everyday spinning. Now, I will say there's a little bit of controversy built into that, by the way. There's some folks out there that say, yeah, lacquers aren't as fragile as you think. If you play with them, like with today's modern equipment and styluses and turntables, and if you treat them right and you put them in a nice controlled environment and you store them the right way, they can last you a long time, right? They can last you, 50 years or so, which is, a lifetime for most people. Crap, when I'm 50, man, I don't know if I'll even have my hearing left to be able to hear this record. So that's a long time. Sorry for all the noise. I'm trying to put this package back together, but that's a long, long time. I'll wait to put this away. Let's talk. So there's a little bit of that. Now, Here's where they become a little bit ridiculous. These records are expensive. They're about $500 to $550 a pop. That's a lot of money for a single record. And you could buy a lot of audiophile records for that type of dope. No doubt, 100%, you got me. Yes, you can. But technically, you'll never hear these records sound this way ever unless you have the master tape, right? Or maybe a tape-to-tape copy. That would be argumentative as well. But from a record standpoint, from a vinyl standpoint, even though these aren't vinyl, you're never gonna. I don't care what high fidelity, one press, whatever you get version, these will always sound better. But but you have to have the system to enjoy them. So people say, well, they're not worth the money because they wear down the first time you listen to them. And you're right. Technically, you're right. I think it takes a few times probably to wear them down, but you're probably right to say that the very first time you listen to them is going to be the best these records ever sound. How much difference it's gonna be the second time you play them, I don't really know. I don't know if really other people really know. I don't know if there's been that much research done on them, to be honest with you. But in theory, every time you play them, they're gonna wear down a little bit just because they're so soft. Now, that's one problem. We're gonna talk about how I'm gonna address that problem in a moment. The other problem is that you just really need a system to do this. So, I mean, you can have a really nice turntable like a Riga P8, or you can have a nice Fluence turntable. A lot of people love their projects, and I'm not talking about their very expensive projects, talking about like the Carbon Debut and stuff. And those things are great. They're great turntables. They're good entry and mid-level turntables. But will you get the fidelity out of that turntable with whatever cartridge you're pairing it with, whatever phono preamp that you're matching that turntable with to get all of the quality of this record that you're going to be able to hear and enjoy, and it's going to make such a staggering difference for you to be worth spending the type of money these records are? Most people, that's gonna be a flat out no. So, yeah, so when people hate on lacquers or there's any sort of, fluff put on the internet about the Verve Mastercut series, it's just quite frankly that for the most people, this is unattainium. These are records that are super expensive, and the system that you need to have behind them also needs to be equally impressive and expensive. Now, it's not just about money, by the way. I'm not saying you need to go have, a very, very expensive system, 100, 200, 300, $400,000 system. It's not what I'm saying. It has to be something that, a system is more than just speakers and cables and components and a turntable. It's room acoustics. It's making sure that everything sounds right. It's making sure things are dialed in and calibrated correctly. It's making sure that you can hear all the finer details in music alone before you can really appreciate what these records are going to do. So let me tell you how I feel, right? So I have a relatively nice, what I would call high-end turntable. Now, my definition of that, you heard the hesitation in my voice, is that it is argumentatively a high-end turntable. Um, there are plenty of turntables that triumph the price and the performance of my turntable. But in the hi-fi world, I feel like it's pretty entry level. Let me tell you what I have for those that are not, typical fans of the show. So I have a modified Riga P10. Don't drop off there yet. Let me tell you what I've done. I don't have the RB3000 tone arm. I switched it out with a SuperTrack Blackbird tone arms painted custom white to match the turntable. So it's a very nice high-end tone arm that really performs above its weight. On top of that, I'm not using a standard, mat here. We're using the Stein Perfect Interface mat, which is arguably one of the best mats in the entire world. And then I modified the feet using the Stardove 50s for further isolation and vibration control, right? So this is a very modified Riga P10. It's like a P10 on steroids, and it performs well above its weight. And all of that is driving a Lyra Kleos cartridge, which again is a really nice cartridge. And that goes into a Dos Locos, Sutherland Dos Locos phono preamplifier, and one of the top transpedant amplifiers available on the market today. So the equipment that I'm running from an analog standpoint is what I would call it's hi-fi. It's the high-end audio world, but it's sort of on a lower end point because you can go, a Kuzma table and drop 20, $30,000, if not more. You can go with some of the clear audio tables that are, built like a house. There's plenty of room to go, right? And in hi-fi, there is almost ceiling. If you have money, they can make you something to take your money, and it doesn't matter how much money you have. But I feel like I have a very respectable system, a system that I spent a lot of time dialing in this room, etc. But I'm also not blind to the fact that my system is still not going to reveal all the detail that these records have. So here's my thinking. I'm going to play these once and I'm going to record them to DSD 128. It's an archival transfer. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use my Tascam DA3000 SD. And the idea of this is that I want to preserve that first playback, which is arguably, the highest resolution playback that I can possibly have, right? First time running, no wear on the grooves. That's where I'm going to go. And so I want to do this right from the go. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to record directly from the Dos Locos phono preamp. So as my system grows with upgrades in the future, such if I get new speakers or I get a new amp or I get a regular new preamplifier, whatever the case is, I get new cables, I could go back and I could play that DSD 128 copy that was from Turntable, phono preamp to the DSD, and I will be able to hear new details from these lacquers without ever spinning them again, which is really great. And this is going to help preserve their life expectancy as long as I still treat them right. They stay in a controlled environment, store them up right, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to archive these records, and I'm going to share how I do all this in the future in an upcoming video. So if you really want to know how to archive records, rare records, original presses, if you got a catalog like that and you're like, how do I preserve them for a lifetime? I'm going to create a video about that, the entire process on how do I record and how do I work with software I use, etc., to be able to kind of preserve these records, split up the tracks, be able to load them into my DAC, etc. So I'm going to go through all of that in a future video. Subscribe if that's something that interests you, but I just want to get to that. Now, what it's not going to solve for is if I get a new turntable or if I get a new cartridge, right? So if I get a new analog source or arguably even a better phono preamp in the future, I will probably have to do this process again, but I would want to make sure that it's very notable upgrades in the equipment before I wear these down, right? So with all that being said, it does leave me to wonder, what do I do with these after I do my DSD recording? Do I just go ahead and wait for them to sell out on Verve and sell them on the aftermarket? Because the ones that have sold out, the aftermarket prices are going for 20, 30% more than what they were paid retail. So I can easily make back my money and then some. Or do I hold out and hopefully preserve these for the next, 5 to 10 years when I ideally will have even nicer equipment and just go through that whole process again and preserve them? That I don't know. And I'm kind of curious to know what your thoughts on. What would you do? Would you go ahead and try to preserve these and make them last? Or would you just be like, you know what? Hey, man, one cut from the DSD on a reasonable turntable and a reasonable phono pre going into DSD 128. I mean, that's butter, man. Just live with that, be happy, get your money back if you can, and just move on with your life and take that, grand or whatever and go buy something else. I don't know. And this is really the battle of collector and people who just love music. I think you need to love music to be able to collect this stuff. That's a debate for a different day. I hate when people say it's just about the music. I hate when people say that audiophiles ruin music. You don't do these types of things if you don't love the music. You love the music so much that you do these types of things. But again, well, I digress. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go ahead and figure out how to put this thing back together. And then I'm going to cut to showing you the contents of the Ella and Louis album. And then we're going to get this video wrapped up because I know it's getting long in a wind. Okay, guys, while we get that record switched over, let me tell you a little bit about Ella and Louis. And this record was recorded in 1956 at Capitol Studios in Hollywood and was produced by Norman Granz. And it features Oscar Peterson on piano. And if you haven't heard this album before, it is just pure magic. Oh my God, it just melts your heart. Ella and Louis, man, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, they just bring out the best of each other. I swear to God, when you play the songs on this album, you just think these two are just in love with each other. The way that they play off with each other, the elegance of the music, the beauty of this album is just unprofound. Her smooth vocals, his gravelly worth, man, they just blend together in something that's timeless. And if you're not familiar, do yourself a favor. Pause this right now. Load up your favorite streaming app. Play Cheek to Cheek. Play They Can't Take That Away From Me. And tell me if you do not believe this is not a master class in musical chemistry. I really love this album, and I think you will too. All right, guys. So we got this was a lot easier. So we got the paper taken off. They have the gloves just like last time. Um, so we got 2 sets of that, and then here's the box. I haven't done anything more than just take the paper off. So we're gonna be looking at this together. Let me make sure I'm in frame. So we're gonna be looking at this together. It's my first time opening this up, but I feel a little bit more confident now that I understand the process. So again, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong there on one side, archival tape edition 007, and then on the spine, kind of that same information. And then, of course, this slides out like you saw before. We'll put that over here. And then we have the information on this one. So again, the name of the album, this is Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong, Ella and Louis, has the musicians, and the side A, side B tells you where it was recorded, the date of origin, location, tape number, recording producer, session engineer, and then it has the information about this particular one. So this was cut from tape to disc, the date, which was the 14th of October in 2022, has a location. This is a mono, tells you this is a lacquer disc, and this is Lucas Obwaller, is the cutting engineer. So this isn't Martin, this is Lucas. So this is kind of cool. I got 2 different cutting engineers, one of 2, and I got one from each. I think that's really cool. And of course, this opens up in the same fashion, and you have sort of the same innard. So you have the lacquer disc, and then you have the let me get this out of the way. Here you have the insert, right? So let's go ahead and this is interesting. There's something here, a little metal thing. I'm not really sure. It's metal thing on both sides. I'm not really sure what that is. What's also interesting to me is that unlike the other one, this plastic sleeve doesn't seem to cover the full disc. You see a little peakage there, which I don't remember the other one doing. So I think that's a little bit interesting. All right, guys, we got the paper ribbon off and we got the inserts. Now I have no idea what's inside of these inserts. So we're trying to figure that out together. This one seems to be a little bit different. So this opens up in a completely different fashion and looks like it's just stuffed with stuff. So unlike the other one, which had all these sort of pages and flip out, this looks like it just has a bunch of things, and it's almost like a folder. It opens up. It's supposed to open up this way, so everything kind of gets stuck in here, right? So I think that's the idea and the concept for this one. So a little bit different presentation style, but everything's in this protective film. So they have I can read this a little bit better. This is a dear listener. It looks like it has a picture in there. It's reversed, so I don't know what it is. They have pull this out here. They have a couple things stuck together here in an envelope with Ella and Louis on it. Can you see that? And then you have let's see here. This one seems to be a little bit stuck. I'm trying to get it out. Bear with me. I don't want to damage anything. Everything in this whole packaging is just so fragile. There we go. So we have the notes as well, right? So this looks like the archival edition. Has some information about the record, and then of course how to take care of your record. So it looks like this one's a little bit different packaging, and I think this one was earlier, right? This is 7. So maybe they found that the other packaging was just costing too much money. This was maybe a cheaper way of doing it. I don't know, or they're just trying to make each one its own unique experience. Not really certain. I think in hindsight I like the other one better because I feel like the all the goodies were a little bit spread out and you can kind of see what they are. Here, you kind of have to go digging through everything. I think what I'm going to do is maybe see if I can get some pictures that I can show you guys what these look like, and I'll roll them at the end. But let me get this stuff. Oh, you want to see the record, you said. Let me do that. Okay, show you the record. Let me pull out my fancy gloves. here. This is stamped a little bit better. I can read that better. Make sure you read the instructions before you play this record, which is essentially treat it like it's a expensive record. Um, Feels so weird putting on these gloves, but they give them to you to preserve the record, so your oil in your hands and stuff don't ruin it. So we just want to make sure we do that. Boom. All right, here we go. And I'm the idiot who put it on the floor. So let me grab it from the floor. Sorry, just taking a first look at it, guys. Beautiful again. Super, super shiny, heavy. Feels like you're holding something that's super special. I'm trying to get reflections off the light so you can kind of see how great that looks all together. Just was really, really cool. I'm super excited to play these. And again, it's the same thing with the label. It says side A 33, side B 33. So it just has the information on it, which is kind of interesting. You know, it's just like classic label that you don't normally just don't see. I tell you, working with these, the worst is working with these gloves. I just if you're not used to it, man, they're a challenge. Let me get this together, guys, and then we can wrap this video up, okay? All right, gang. So here they are, the Ella Fitzgerald and the Getz and Gilberto. I put them in these nice little sleeves here to kind of protect them a little bit more. They're a little bit on the larger side. I got to get the right size here, but this is what I have currently today. So at least they're sleeve and they're all put back in their original packaging, and now I just got to store them in a very precious and well, temperature controlled room. So that's it. I mean, that's two crown jewels of the Verve Mastercut series. And like I mentioned before, man, these aren't just collector's items. I know we kind of talked on that, and I even mentioned, I'm like, these are collector's items. But I really think that they're sort of true analog artifacts created for the people who just love music in its purest form. And I think it's incredible to think that the same lacquer process used to make records for nearly a century is just, Verb just now opened that experience to all of us. We can have that experience at home. And honest to gosh, man, I cannot wait to hear how these records sound. So I know this was a long video, and it was a little bit of adventurous, right? We got into a lot of things that we both didn't know together, but we figured it out because that's what we do as a community. We figure out things together, we discover new things together, and I'm glad that I had you to come along in that journey with me because otherwise I would have felt way overwhelmed. I knew I was in good hands with you watching. So if you enjoyed this unboxing and you want to see eventually how I archive these lacquers in DSD, and talk about maybe what my first impressions are once I finally get a chance to listen to them, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that video. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And if you don't want to get in a debate if you would flip these records or not, it's fine. But at least drop me a comment. Tell me which one I should play first. Should I play the Getz and Gilberto or should I play the Ella and Louis? I would love to know. Drop it in the comments. And if you give me that answer, I know you watch to the end. And I love the people who stay hardcore and watch it all the way to the end. Guys, listen, as always, keep your records flat, clean, and spinning true. And I'll see you next time on Vinyl Latte. This is an adventure for me, folks. I hope that you're enjoying watching it at home. It's somebody's watching this, and they're like a pro. They like have every master cut edition, and they're like, "You're doing it wrong, stupid." I don't care. This is part of the fun, guys. I mean, this is the part of fun getting like a box set, right? Is part of it is exploring the content and the information, and this adds a little bit of a unique touch because it just has a lot of elements I'm just not familiar with. I've been collecting records for a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. So it's worth the price of admission just for the entertainment value, although that's still a very argumentative comment because again, these are not cheap. Um, and I think that's why I'm super hyper sensitive to to damaging anything, which I should just go at it, right? That's what you should do and not worry about it.